Well, as we're heading into fall, you might be asking yourself, is there something I should be doing with a biological product to catapult me into winter? That's the discussion in this episode of Extreme Ag Cutting the Curve.
Welcome to Extreme Ags Cutting the Curve podcast, where you get a guaranteed return on investment of your time as we cut your learning curve with the information you can apply to your farming operation immediately. Extreme Ag, we've already made the mistakes, so you don't have to. Managing your farm's water resources is a critical component to a successful and sustainable farming operation. Advanced Drainage Systems helps farmers just like you increase their yields up to 30% with their technologically advanced water management products. Visit adspipe.com to see how they can keep your business flowing. Now, here's your host, Damian Mason.
Hey there, welcome to another fantastic episode of Extreme Ag Cutting the Curve. I got Chad Henderson from Madison, Alabama, one of the original founders of Extreme Ag, and I got Mike Batson. He is with Holganix. Mike and I met a couple of different times. We were most recently in Iowa, and we actually did some measuring about what biologicals can do. Let's face it, maybe were suspect about this. All of us were. Chad's a tire kicker. We were like, all right, does this stuff really work? Well, Chad has a trial going with Holganix, and he's got a couple of different things he wants to share with us about that. But the question we asked in a previous video, and it's a damn good one, I said, Mike, how do we know if this stuff's really working? And he's out there with his soil monitor and his soil probe, and he's not just pulling up soils and sending them to a lab. He's got real-time stuff going down and talking about what the organic matter looks like, porosity. They call it bulk density, which is really cool because we know that our soils get compacted. So I thought, you know what, let's go ahead and kind of revisit the measuring, and let's also talk about what should Chad be doing moving forward using biologicals of Holganix brand or any for that matter. So anyway, Mike, it's pretty cool. The video we did, I watched it this morning to refresh myself with what we did there. You actually can, in real time, using satellite technology, say, here's the CECs, here's the organic matter, here's the bulk density, et cetera, with that soil. So that was pretty cool. And then your point was, if you started using biologicals now, 5 years from now, these numbers would absolutely climb. And I thought that was pretty telling. It was informative, and I guess it would be verifying.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, we've got farms that's had the product on for 5 or 6 years in the Dakotas, and it just gets better with time. Yields continue to climb up. We're growing more organic matter. We've changed the organic matter a full percentage point, and we're even starting to move the CECs, cation exchange capacity. So.
And by the way, if you are a viewer of all of our stuff, I stood in the field with Chad and we talked about the cation exchange capacity problem that he has in some of his lighter soils. And then he's talking about the work he's doing with Holganix. We went to one of his fields that was not light. It was, in fact, kind of river bottom stuff. So anyway, what are you seeing that excites you about using biologicals in this particular instance, Chad?
So, first of all, I'm the biggest skeptic, because these guys come to me and they're like, hey, we're going to put this. I said, oh, Lord, it's the wild, wild west, because it's hard for people to come back, and they've been preaching and selling biologicals. Say that word for me.
Biologicals.
Biologicals. Thank you. So they've been preaching and selling them things, for 5 or 6 or 7 years, and there's and up until now, what we've seen with them, there's no way to measure it. Yeah. So everybody can say what they want to say, and they're like, oh, well, it's working. Well, where? For 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 or $15 an acre, and then we have us as farmers have to quantify that in essence of, oh, we're going to cut our fertility back. Whoa, wait a minute now. So there's a lot of stuff went on. Well, when these guys explained it and some of the meetings we've had together, it's truly been a learning curve. When they come down, a lot of people want to know where you want it at, and they're one of the companies that says, hey, we want on some tough ground. We want it on some rough ground. I said, I got you. I promise you I got you. So we put them in some rough ground. And, the root mass is different. It was different when it come out of the ground. The root structure was different on the plants, And this is corn that's, just average corn. This is not anything that's loaded up. It's just regular fertility, So I'm real interested so far to see what we got going on with it.
Well, I mean, there is something to that. And that's why I opened up by saying that what Mike did, it was actually verifiable provable that he's pulling numbers. And you say, yeah, but did those numbers move? We've only put this biological on this field starting at time of planting. His point is, and I guess there's a little bit of faith, give us 3 years and you're going to see some of these numbers move even more so. And, you're asking us to have a little bit of faith, but less than some of the other promises out there because you actually are verifying some numbers. So I thought that was pretty cool. Talk to me about what's happening at Chad's, Mike. What can he expect to see come when the combine rolls through that corn?
I should have better plant health all the way till the end. Our plants mature out; they don't die out, kind of mimicking what a fungicide treatment shows. Normally we get a lot better plant health, so I would expect the plant to stay green longer, and it'll mature out like it's supposed to do, and should translate if his roots have grown more than normal. We should have better water and nutrient uptake, and should put that into more grain in the grain bin on the combine.
What about now after the harvest? Okay, let's say he does see these. Is there something that he should be doing? Is Chad Henderson going to help himself? Does he need to do a biological treatment post-harvest?
I would say yes. Where he's got a longer growing season that basically doesn't shut off, he's going to get a lot of benefits from the products that have a diverse population of microbes in it. Bacteria and fungi and protists will break down, his stocks and residues that he's got left at the end of the field. We will cycle the nutrients out of it quicker, and we'll break that down, making it go through, planter season. When the planters start to run, he'll be able to get through that residue a lot easier, mimicking basically like a tillage pass. But the key, you have to have more fungi and protists in there than just bacteria. Most of the products out there are heavily laden with bacteria, matching up what's in our soil. Most of our soil is heavily laden in bacteria and low in fungi and beneficial protists and beneficial nematodes.
By the way, Chad, is this something we even thought about a couple of years ago until I started working with you guys and then started talking about the fungi bacteria relationship? I'm like, I had no idea. So is Chad's soil heavy bacteria, low fungi? Is that what you're telling me?
I would say yes. Haven't been to his farm, but I would say before he started using our product, I would say that it was probably heavily bacteria. Most of the time we see 80 to 70% bacteria to fungi. And with our product, that usually after one use, we will break that down to 60-30 and slowly build it up to more to a 1-to-1 ratio, 50-50, which that's what we're looking for. Our soils that can handle lots of stress and make more yield are the ones that are in that 1-to-1 ratio.
Chad, what's the deal? Do you think you're rebalancing the fungi to bacteria ratio? By the way, Mike jumped the gun. This was supposed to be a different episode. We were going to talk about that, but that's okay. Here we are.
I ain't got a clue. I ain't got a clue. Like, look, I'm from Alabama. This ain't even supposed to happen with somebody like me. Like, he talks way too proper, and everything he's saying, like, I'm just buying into it, He's done a really good job explaining that. But to the point, what we want to talk about is how hard it is for me, or what I'd like to know is how hard it is for me, when I went to Kelly Garrett's, when I went to Temple Rose, when I go to their place and I say, hey, when was that corn shelled? Oh, it was shelled 2 months ago. Well, it looks like it was shelled last week. How the stalks look. Well, when Alabama, when me and Matt down here in the South, even with Kevin Matthews, our stalks with the heat, it's turning black, like everything's working because we have so much more heat. Can we talk a minute on what we can do to add to that? When I use a Holganix product and these bugs are running, they're working, they're breaking this stuff down, do I need to put on more sugars? Do I need to put on more nitrogen? Do I need to put on a few things to keep these bugs happy and keep them fed and keep them going longer? Or am I looking at it wrong?
Yeah, so that's a big question right there. So we opened the whole episode, Mike, by saying here we are going into fall. Should Chad, what should be the next treatment after the combine goes through? What should be the next biological treatment?
I would say, just like what I was trying to say, a product like ours is diverse, that has your bacteria, fungi, protists, beneficial nematodes. But back to the sugars, you need a food source.
That's right.
And our product has that. We have molasses in there. We have yucca plant extract, kelp extract, amino acids, and fulvic acid and humic acid. And when those bugs and microbes hit your residue, it's like we're bringing a battalion with us. We're not just bringing.
There you go. So that's what I knew was coming out of Holganix, and that's what I was trying to get you to circle around to. So if you had to pick, what would your carrier be? Would you want it to be water? Would you want it to be a cut with water and nitrates, to kind of help break that down? If you had to pick one, what would your carrier be?
I would still go with water, because I forgot to mention that in our product, we also have some slow release nitrogen in there. So we're bringing some nitrogen as well to feed what microbes you currently have in your soil as well. And that will speed the process up. But water.
Let me ask the question here, Mike. So here, talk about the combine rolls. In his case, probably, the next couple months, doesn't really matter where you are in this particular. So after the combine rolls, you're going out and doing a fall application. And is it just this product, or is this in there with some herbicide to take care of winter annuals, or what are you thinking on that, Chad?
Oh, I'm with you, Damian. I think that'd be a great time, and that's why we used their product before. They wanted it. If you can't put it in the furrow, then they want it with a herbicide pass, and I think that would be a great opportunity to put their product in at that half-gallon rate that they recommend. And smoke it on in with the herbicide pass in front of our wheat planting, because we'll do our wheat with no till, so we can go in there and put that down, and then just let them stalks keep eating.
Okay, so what's the product then, Mike, is called what?
It is breakdown.
Breakdown. Okay. So, and you'd make the mistake of thinking breakdown just means, like you said previously, get rid of that fodder so that when he's got to come in March, let's say, or April, and do his planting, that it's broken down. But it's not just getting rid of the fodder. It's also putting it back into the soil.
That's right. Cycling the nutrients. There's a lot of N, P, and K and micros that are in that you want to get back in the soil as quick as possible to get it ready for the plants to uptake it, versus just sitting around doing nothing for you. There's a lot of money there tied up. You might as well be using it.
Okay.
That's what we're working on. That's what we're working on right now, Damian, with the double crop beans.
Right.
We sprayed this on our wheat straw right behind the planters, and then planted our double crops. So we'll be pulling soil samples, tissue samples on those coming up, to see if we can monitor that.
Okay. So what I'm wondering then is you harvest your wheat in like June, and then you go in and put your double crop beans. In the old days, you didn't spray something on that. And so, you have real world experience, because 10 years ago, you didn't spray nothing on the wheat stubble, and now you do. Can you visibly tell a difference from the tractor seat, or can you visibly tell a difference when you go out and take a walk?
Well, I haven't been in it to date yet. I've looked at it and I can see it, but I haven't got out there and really started pulling the straw back to see the breakdown. We're right at R3 on those beans, and the plant date was June the 2nd on that, where we applied that Holganix. So it was within a few days of that is when we planted it and applied it. So you know what? We're 2 months in on the planting season. So I'm now getting where I can go out. Let's go out and let's start pulling, and let's see if we can see anything in the straw. See if the straw tears easier. See it, because the straw's still going to be there. Don't misconstrue and say, oh, the straw's just gone. It's just magically gone. No, it's going to be there, but it's going to be what I've seen before, is the way it breaks down, the way the plants tear, how much easier it is, it's decomposing, I guess would be the word.
Right. So your experience, Mike, this is the first time he's doing this. Is this a big opportunity for people that can do double crop beans? You can't do double crop typically, in North Indiana where I live, but by golly, there's a whole bunch of it that happens, like Matt Miles and Chad Henderson. So is this what you think is going to become a standard operating procedure? You're going to put some sort of a meltdown on after the wheat gets harvested?
Yes, I do. And I think it'll be big where soybeans and corn's grown throughout the whole corn belt.
Okay. So if you're putting it on at time of, it's got the benefit of breaking down the fodder. It's got the benefit of recycling stuff. Now, this is kind of a silly question, but maybe it's not. Is it doing it too soon? In other words, if you're doing this in September, October, November. I don't really need all that nutrient availability until April, May, June. Is there a danger of getting it broken down and then all of a sudden it's like it's too early and now it's not available come spring?
In theory, you would think yes, but it's not going to work that fast. It's going to be faster than not doing it. But once, like in the north of where Chad's at, we start getting into basically soil kind of goes dormant. Once we start getting colder, that process will slow down, and then it'll kick back up again in the spring. Where Chad's at, he's going to be benefiting all the way through. So he's going to speed that up even more because of his heat and having more moisture to make it work. So
okay, well then from a bang for a buck standpoint, I'm 600 miles north of where he is. Does he get more bang for his buck using this than I would, or do you think it doesn't matter? Because
yes, finally somebody gets more bang for their buck than I-State. Yes.
Well, that's what you got to wonder, because we don't maybe we don't walk uphill to school in a blizzard, but we sure as heck do get a freezing layer. And we still bear our pipes 3 feet down because there's winters where we get a freeze layer down 3 feet. So that soil's definitely dormant. Is there a way in an area like me, Mike, do I get less bang for my buck, or do I even get more because that biology maybe works harder before the soil does freeze and right after it thaws out?
I think you guys will be equal when it's all said and done. It's going to break down the residue, the lignin, the starches, the cellulose. It's going to nutrient cycle, and it's going to do that both places. It's just going to go dormant in the north, and then it's going to kick back up in the spring. So basically, you're going to get your money worth both ways. It's just going to take
I'd like to tell you something, Mike, that Chad hasn't even heard. Mike Evans is Kelly Garrett's business partner and also agronomist. And I had him look at soil samples pulled on my property a couple months ago, and he insulted me. He said, "Your ground sucks. You got low CEC soils on that one field." He says, "Your ground is basically like Chad Henderson's." So he insulted my farm by telling me that my ground was similar to his. So I'm not sure. I think we both got insulted, Chad.
That tells you that I've done a pretty good job with our ground getting it up then, don't it?
Yeah, right. You've made your Alabama stuff, but I thought it was interesting.
So I got a question. So and let's talk about this wheat bean deal just for a brief second. Or can you explain, could you help people understand the speed of the process of this breakdown? What would speed it up? We obviously know weather and heat, rainfall maybe. But can you give a few pointers as to what speeds it up, what people could be looking for in a time frame if they sprayed it in the summer, or if they sprayed it in the spring, if they sprayed it in the fall? Can you talk through that just a second for us, Mike?
You bet. Normally when you in the summer, you're going to have more heat, you're going to have more sunlight, it's going to warm up and tend to have more moisture. Those are the key factors in making it work as fast as it's going to work. The more moisture you get, the more sunlight, the more heat, it's going to speed it up. When we get to where we get colder climates, we get heavier dews and frost and stuff like that in the north in the fall, it's going to slow it down a little bit. But it's still, once we get the bugs out, they're unleashed, they're there, they're going to start attacking. But it's to enhance it. I don't know, other than what we put in the product, because it's been researched. We've got the molasses, we got the food source in there, and you got some nitrogen in there. I don't think there's anything, but it's still got to take a little time to do it. And then if you do run a tillage tool like a vertical till or anything in that, I don't know if you do that, Chad, but that's another way that you could size your residue a little bit, and aerate it a little bit. That might be another way to get it. But in a true no-till situation, I'd like to see some of that side by side, but where I've seen it, it looks really good both ways, no-till or in conventional till. Once we get it on, and like I said, if you got some moisture and temperature, it makes it work. And with all the goodies that are packed in there, it just takes it to another level.
And by the way, how many of your wheat, you don't do soybeans following every acre of wheat, do you?
Yes.
You do. And then how many of the acres on a percentage or a number, got this treatment?
We used it on 100-acre. We got 100 acres that we've got it on, so it's not like a small treatment,
Yeah.
And we got it on 30-acre plot or 40-acre plot on the corn and 100-acre plot on the beans.
Okay. So that's enough to give us some
Yeah.
some comparison, some side by side stuff.
And we've got it in a big field where we got 40-acre square that's not treated at all. But all the beans planted the same day, treated the same way, and we just didn't treat the 40 acres with that. I had to make it. I made another treatment. That's what we have to do a lot of times, and it ain't always the easiest thing to do. But we can't get, we spray 100-acre loads with our sprayers. So to do these treatments, a lot of people wonder, well, how you do that or how you do this treatment? We make the whole treatment, and then we come back and put this product in these zones. Put a product in this zone, put a fertility product in this zone, and we zone these farms out to where we have checks and strips across the whole thing.
Got it. So I guess I wanted to make sure we're talking about this treatment. Is this something that should be done in, we're talking about doing it in the fall or following the combine. Mike, should this be, are you really convinced that this is something that our guys are going to see the result from and say like, yeah, now it's a standard practice that after the combine runs, when I have my maybe Chad probably more than some of the northern people got to go out there and do a spray for winter annuals and that kind of thing. Is this something you think, are you convinced is going to become commonplace?
I do. I believe it's going to be another chain in the link to get us, we've plateaued in a lot of ways in yields and things like that across the Corn Belt and, maybe even in the southern states. It's just another chain to take it to the next level. We're looking at basically how to build a better mousetrap. We've got a residue issue because we keep increasing our yields. We're making more biomass, and we've got to do something with it. And tillage is not the total answer. It's part of the answer, but it's not the total answer. Because there's some acres that tillage just is not going to be what you want to do. But where you do run tillage, it takes 2 or 3 trips sometimes to get rid of that 250, 300 bushel corn. And this product is going to help that tremendously. You're going to be able to, if you have adequate moisture and temperature, you are basically going to cut down a tillage pass.
Yeah. So we're talking about essentially the fall on this because we want to make sure this is timely for you, dear listener. So the point is Chad's now being encouraged to go and put this out there. So it sounds like another experiment that's going to be giving you results because he's already done the stuff on the corn. So we'll be talking about what happens on the post-harvest on the and by the way, should he put it on after this? We did after wheat to go double crop beans. Should he do a treatment on the beans when they come off? On the bean ground, that is?
Well, what we want to do is do a treatment on the corn where we're going to put the wheat back.
Yeah.
Because then we're trying to break all that down, that corn fodder down, and get that into the wheat plant. And then we need to talk about the finances side of it for just seconds. This stuff is, I wouldn't say it's pretty expensive, but it is, it's a good product. It's got several things in it, and it is costly. But with saying that, you have to, I'm the one that reallocates money all the time. Well, their whole thing is, we want to reallocate this in the fertilizer program. Right. When instead of us blowing out dry fertilizer, we can use so much of this Holganix, and cut back our dry fertilizer rates, and make it fit in the schedule instead of just adding money to the cost of the farm. We got to find a piece where it fits in financially as well.
Yeah. And that's probably, Mike, what you would recommend is if we're reallocating money, it comes out of synthetic or traditional fertilizer programs and goes into this, right?
That's correct. Yes. Over time, we can get, your usage, your efficiency a lot better with the existing fertilizer that you're using. But the biggest thing is we can help break down what nutrition that you've already got tied up in the soil. There's a tremendous amount of phosphorus and potassium and micros in the soil that's just tied up. It's unavailable. It's like it's in a bank that they lost your bank number and they won't let you take your.
But the fall treatment, Chad, you're going to shell corn off here in another 6 weeks, let's say, and then you're going to go out and spray it, and then you're going to put in wheat right behind it, winter wheat, correct?
Yep. I would like to wait, unless we want to go out there and run right behind the combine to see if we can get another week or 2 head start. But usually, I'm going to gather this corn in the month of September. the 3 weeks, first 3 weeks of September, I want to be finished.
Okay.
All right. And then I'm going to start on planting the wheat the last week of October.
Yeah.
So it'll have,
It's got 5 weeks, 6 weeks.
Yeah, on it, and I'd like to wait and really put the Holganix in, like he said, with that herbicide pass, where I'm not making another pass.
Right.
My herbicide burned down in front of my wheat that goes no-till. We want to run the Holganix in, and then the Holganix has got all winter. I don't have for it to be gone in a week or 2 weeks. It's got all winter to break that thing down and get it in my work.
Till that wheat into the corn stalks.
That's right.
So if it does have 6 weeks, which it already has 6 weeks, but you're saying if you could do this, it might accelerate that 6 week breakdown and get you better seed to soil contact, or more importantly, better availability of nutrients, right?
Well, it gets, and also it would get nutrients in my plants before my plant goes dormant. Like where you're at up north, where they get to where, your plant's going to go dormant in, 1st of November.
Yeah.
Well, mine may not go dormant till the 1st of December.
Right.
So if I can pick up some nutrients for a month, and get it into that plant where it's already in there for spring green up, I feel like I'm further ahead.
Got it. So, Mike, get me out of here. What else do I need to know about the fall pass? Looks like he's got, when you really think about it, it's really a post-harvest pass. Post-harvest pass into wheat stubble, post-harvest pass into corn stalks. We didn't answer. Are we going to do a pass on the soybeans when they get harvested this fall that went in behind wheat? Or does it need to?
You can. If you want to start cycling the residue on that as well, get the nutrients ready to go, it'll help that pass next spring. It'll warm the soil up a little quicker.
Does it pencil out?
Yes, definitely does. Just like I said, this is a journey. You're trying to take your soil from where it is today, and we want to put a turbo on that soil, getting everything percolating. And it's a starting point, baseline, and you'll start cycling the nutrition out. You'll get your monies back. There's no question. And the other thing, you're basically going to be getting a bigger ratio in our product and our fall product with the fungi and protists in there. You're getting more fungi and protists in our fall product, and that's what does the heavy lifting of breaking the P and K and your organic nitrogen, and it's breaking the lignin and stuff down. And then the other thing, back to Chad, where he's going to be following up with wheat, coming back in there, our product will also help his wheat germinate faster. It will get started and grow and get the full rooting effect of our product as well.
Got it. Chad, what else?
I'm seeing things from it already, that I'm willing to try. And like I said, it's all about fitting it into a budget. It's not, too many times here at Extreme Ag, we're about put this product, put that product, but we still got to talk about the finances product and figure out where we're going to put it in the regimen, and that's where we're going to put it in. We've been putting out, I'm not a guy to bash a bunch of dry fertilizers, but I've been putting dry fertilizer out all my life.
Yeah.
And then we talk about that bank and that vault, and I'm still waiting on the key to that vault, and I ain't seen it yet. But
the reality is it's a different way of thinking. All right, we're going to get out of here on that, and that's the good thing about biologicals. We're talking about biologicals, fall treatment. What should you be doing? What should you be at least experimenting with? And Chad's doing that for you, because that's why we're here at Extreme Ag. We got hundreds of videos. Guys like Chad, Kevin, Matt, Kelly, Temple. You know what they do? They shoot videos out in the field and they put them up there on the extremeag.farm website. We've got hundreds of these podcasts and they're all free. So you know what? Share these with someone that can benefit from them. Thanks so much for watching. And like I said, use this to your benefit. His name is Chad Henderson. His name is Mike Batson with Holganix. If you want to learn more about that, where do they go, Mike?
HolganixMidwest.com or HolganixMidSouth.com or Holganix.com.
Holganix, Holganix, Holganix. My name is Damian Mason. Until next time, thanks for being here.
That's a wrap for this episode of Cutting the Curve, but there's plenty more. Check out extremeag.farm, where you can find past episodes, instructional videos, and articles to help you squeeze more profit out of your farm. Cutting the Curve is brought to you by Advanced Drainage Systems, the leader in agriculture water management solutions.